If you like these videos, please check out my full course at www.lsat.totaltestprep.net with tons of clearly explained actual LSAT questions written by someone who's mastered test and helped others master it, and an evaluation period where you only pay if you want to continue. All right, so in this video, we're going to cover the characterization argument relationships. So, what is the characterization argument type? Okay, so the first thing is that the characterization arguments deal with the nature of something. The argument establishes the key characteristics of an object, of an event, or of a state. So that is very important. The argument is going to conclude that something has a specific type of characteristic, has a type of characteristic. Now, the common variations are going to be traits that place something in a particular category. And so, for example, we have here an argument that says that John has a corner office and handles the most expensive cases. Therefore, he's a partner in the firm. So you can think of this as the category being the partners in a firm, in a law firm, let's say. And the traits that would put something in that category would be having a corner office, handling expensive cases, etc. And this is an example of a very common type of characterization. You're given the characteristics of something, you're given the traits of something, and that puts it in a particular category. That is the key characteristic. Likewise, we can have arguments that deal with defining or essential or important traits. And this is similar to the one above. It's kind of a question of how you look at it, but it's once again the same thing of looking at key characteristics and saying that, or looking in this case, defining or essential and important characteristics, and the conclusion characterizing that particular thing. So an example would be, for example, here we have that the last 5 restaurants I went to in this neighborhood offered free appetizers. So all of the restaurants in the neighborhood offer free appetizers. Now you notice here the conclusion is once again that it's giving us a important characteristic or attribute of the restaurants in the neighborhood, that they all offer free appetizer. And it does it in this case by actually making a generalization. But since the conclusion is about giving a characteristic or characterizing the restaurants in the neighborhood in a particular way, this is another example of that. Okay, so this is actually a fairly broad argument type. And as I mentioned, it's basically author establishing the important attributes of something. So that John is a partner, that the restaurants in the neighborhood offer free appetizers, etc. Now, there are going to be several common things to be on the lookout for. And just to keep in mind that this is not an exhaustive or exclusive list, but there's going to be important things that appear with these kinds of arguments. So you'll find generalizations and examples. That's one of the ways in establishing that something has a particular characteristic. Sorry. There's going to be analogies and comparisons as well. That's also fairly common. That there's going to be definitions and descriptions of things. So this would be an example here that we're describing the restaurants, or we defined a partner to have particular characteristics. And what you'll also find very often is a record and reality type of argument, where it'll say that there's a record of something, so we have evidence that something was written down, and so we have, for example, evidence in this particular argument. The newspaper is saying that the restaurants in the neighborhood offer free appetizers, so therefore the restaurants do actually offer these free appetizers. That's an example of what I mean by record reality. Record being some sort of recording of a particular characteristic in this case. So you'll find that as well. So these are some of the key and common things to be on the lookout for in these arguments, that they like to structure them in this way. And additionally, the characterization relationship is generally constitutive. It's the fact that the last 5 restaurants offered free appetizers that counts as the fact that all of the restaurants, when you make a generalization, you're not saying that that particular sample is causing all of the rest of the elements in the group that you're talking about to have that characteristic. It's that this sample counts as an example of all of the in this case all of the restaurants having free appetizers. So it's generally not going to be a causal process in the actual premises and conclusion, because having one attribute or a characteristic generally constitutes having another. So in this case, this may be a slightly more subtle example of that, but the previous one It's because you have a corner office and take uh, the most expensive or the most difficult cases. That is what makes you count, or that's what constitutes you as a partner in the firm. It doesn't cause you to be a partner in the firm. It's what a partner in the firm. Those are the key characteristics of a partner in the firm. Okay. So to summarize quickly, we see that these arguments that involve characterizations will establish the key characteristics of something, and these arguments generally involve constitutive reasoning.